It was always his favorite. We'll get through this.
We'll get through this.
The man standing quietly behind her was named Adrian Brooks, a 38-year-old widower who had spent the last 6 years raising his 8-year-old daughter, Nora, completely on his own. Life had never been easy for Adrian. After losing his wife to a sudden illness, every sunrise became another battle between grief and responsibility. He worked long hours repairing heating systems across the city before rushing home to help Nora with homework, prepare dinner, and make sure she never felt alone. Although money was always tight, Adrian had learned that love often filled the empty places where wealth could not. That morning, he had entered the bakery simply to pick up a loaf of bread and a few pastries for breakfast before taking Nora to the nearby science museum. The woman at the counter was named Marissa Hale. She looked exhausted beyond her years. Her clothes were clean but faded, and dark circles beneath her eyes hinted at countless sleepless nights. Earlier that week she had ordered a modest birthday cake for her son, Owen, who was turning 7. Owen had spent months talking about nothing except his birthday. He dreamed of inviting 2 classmates, wearing a paper crown, and blowing out candles on a blue cake with stars because he wanted to become an astronaut one day. Marissa had promised him it would happen, even though she had secretly worried about every dollar she spent. Just 2 days before Owen's birthday, Marissa lost her job at a neighborhood grocery store after the business unexpectedly closed. Her final paycheck disappeared almost immediately into overdue rent, electricity, and groceries. She had convinced herself she could somehow borrow enough money for the cake before today, but every phone call ended with someone apologizing that they were struggling too. Standing inside the bakery, surrounded by colorful balloons and cheerful birthday decorations, she realized she had reached the end of every possible option. The bakery employee gently explained that the custom cake could not leave the store without payment. No one blamed Marissa. Policies existed for a reason. Still, every word felt heavier than the last. She quietly asked them to cancel the order, trying desperately to hide her tears. More than losing the cake, she feared seeing disappointment in her son's innocent face. Adrian watched everything unfold without interrupting. The scene reminded him of his own darkest days after his wife's passing, when he had skipped meals so Nora could have school supplies. He remembered birthdays where homemade pancakes replaced presents because there simply wasn't enough money. Those difficult years had taught him something priceless. Children rarely remembered expensive gifts forever, but they always remembered how loved they felt. As Marissa turned toward the exit with trembling hands, Adrian calmly stepped to the counter and paid for the birthday cake using the small amount of savings he had set aside for replacing the worn tires on his truck. It was money he truly needed, yet somehow the decision felt effortless. He asked the staff to package the cake carefully before carrying it outside. Marissa was halfway across the parking lot when Adrian gently caught up to her. She looked confused as he handed her the beautifully wrapped cake. At first she refused to accept it. Pride and embarrassment fought against gratitude inside her heart. Adrian simply smiled kindly and explained that birthdays only happened once a year, but opportunities to remind someone they were not alone could disappear forever. He told her that one day, when life became kinder again, she could simply help someone else who needed hope. Those simple words broke through every wall Marissa had built around her pain. Tears streamed down her face as she held the cake against her chest, overwhelmed that a complete stranger had restored something she thought she had already lost. She had expected judgment, pity, or indifference. Instead, she received compassion from someone who understood hardship without needing an explanation. That afternoon, Owen's birthday celebration took place in a tiny apartment decorated with handmade paper stars cut from old magazines. Only 2 classmates came, along with an elderly neighbor who treated Owen like her own grandson. When the blue cake appeared, Owen's face lit up brighter than the candles themselves. His laughter filled every room, making the apartment feel larger than any mansion. Watching her son smile so freely, Marissa silently thanked the stranger whose name she barely knew. Across town, Adrian and Nora enjoyed their museum visit despite knowing they would need to postpone replacing the truck tires. On the drive home, Nora noticed her father seemed unusually quiet. When he finally told her what had happened at the bakery, she smiled proudly and squeezed his hand. She admitted she had once wished for a more comfortable life, but moments like this reminded her why she believed her father was the strongest man she knew. His kindness had become her greatest lesson. Weeks passed, and life continued moving forward. Adrian's truck finally broke down one rainy afternoon while he was driving home from work. Repair costs were far greater than expected, forcing him to miss several days of employment. Bills quickly piled higher than he could manage. For the first time in years, he wondered whether helping someone else had been irresponsible, even though he did not regret it. Without Adrian realizing it, Marissa had spent those weeks searching for the man who rescued her son's birthday. She eventually found the bakery employee, who remembered Adrian's repair company from the receipt. Learning about his situation deeply affected her. Although she had recently found part-time work at a local community center, she still had little money herself. Instead of giving up, she shared Adrian's story with neighbors, parents, local businesses, and volunteers at the center. People who had never met Adrian began contributing in whatever way they could. A mechanic offered free labor to repair his truck. A tire shop donated a complete set of new tires. One grocery store delivered several weeks of food. Another parent quietly paid Nora's upcoming school activity fees. None of these people wanted recognition. They simply believed kindness deserved to return home. When Adrian walked outside one Saturday morning and discovered his repaired truck waiting in the driveway, surrounded by smiling volunteers, he stood speechless. Among them stood Marissa and little Owen holding a handmade thank you card decorated with blue stars. Adrian realized that the kindness he believed had disappeared into someone else's life had quietly traveled through an entire community before finding its way back to him. Years later, Owen often told friends that his favorite birthday gift had never actually been the cake itself. It was discovering that strangers could become heroes without wearing uniforms or capes. Nora carried the same lesson into adulthood, choosing a career in social work because she wanted every frightened child to know that difficult seasons never lasted forever. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with your friends and family, leave a comment about a time someone showed you unexpected kindness, and subscribe to Single Dad Empire. Your support allows us to continue bringing stories that remind the world compassion is still alive. Special request: comment below with one act of kindness you promise to do for someone this week. Your words may inspire thousands of others to make the same promise. As another beautiful daytime sunset painted the sky with shades of gold and orange, Adrian watched children laughing together during another birthday promise celebration. He realized that he had never truly paid for a cake that morning inside the bakery. Instead, he had planted a seed of hope that continued growing in hearts far beyond anything he could have imagined. Sometimes the greatest miracles are not loud or dramatic. Sometimes they begin quietly, with one person choosing kindness when nobody expects it. And in a world often filled with hardship, that simple choice can become the reason another family learns to smile again.